Well, hello, how was your weekend? Mine was great, thank you so much for asking. My friends threw me a little surprise shindig for hitting 10k subs, which reminds me, don't worry, the 10k sub special will be out soon. It will be a Q&A, so if you want to drop some questions about anything for me in the comments section, feel free. I'm just waiting on a package to arrive before I can film that one, so as soon as I get it, I will film. Thanks again, by the way, to all of the subscribers of Rabona TV. Y'all the best. And if you aren't a subscriber, then what are you waiting for? Join our community and take part in videos such as this one, the Rabona TV Weekend Review, where we look at the highs and lows of the top 5 leagues around Europe. And since we're coming towards the end of the season and titles are beginning to get clinched and title races are getting crazier than ever, I figured I would focus on a few other leagues as opposed to just one outside of the top 5 leagues. So, in the Eredivisie, PSV hosted Ajax in what could have been the title clinching match for Philip Cocu's side. Ajax, by the way, was 7 points behind them going into this one, and after 23 minutes, they were 1 goal behind them. In the 38th, PSV made it 2-0, 3-0 in the 54th, and things started to get a little ugly in the final 10 minutes as Ajax had 2 players receive their marching orders. So, congrats to PSV, who have won the title with 3 matches remaining, their 3rd in 4 seasons. In Portugal, a not-so-great Porto side defeated an even more not-so-great Benfica side in O Clásico, with Mexican international Hector Herrera getting the game winner late with an admittedly sick strike into the top corner. Real passenger defending from Benfica though, as you'd expect after this season. So, Porto leapfrogs Benfica at the top with 76 points to Benfica's 74. Benfica's final matches should be winnable besides a tricky trip away to Sporting, while Porto definitely have the easier final 4 matches. It's not over yet, but I think that Porto's got it locked up. Or maybe I'm just trying to jinx them. But anyways, in Turkey, my oh my, the race for the title is insane this season. Leaders Istanbul Başakşehir went away to 2nd place Galatasaray in what could have been a title deciding match, with the hosts winning 2-0 to put them a point above Başakşehir. So Galatasaray is now in 1st place. Besiktas also won 3-0 against Akhisarspor to ensure that they are also just 1 point behind Galatasaray. Fener didn't let up either, beating Sivasspor 2-1 to take them to 57 points, 2 behind 2nd and 3rd, and within touching distance of the leaders Galatasaray, who of course have 60. What a wild race in Turkey. It could come down to the final match day as there are only 5 matches left. And by the way, at the end of the month, Galatasaray hosts Besiktas, so that will be an unmissable match. In the Premier League, it was not a good week for half of the top 6 teams, with 3 taking some L's. So, Manchester City went away to Wembley to try to ensure they could win the title next weekend at the latest, with a win over Swansea at home. To do so, they needed all 3 points against Tottenham, and you know Spurs weren't going to give it up easily. But it was City who started with more intent, when Leroy Sané's volley struck the bar after just 3 minutes. He's been having a bit of a tough time lately. And Vincent Kompany has had about the opposite of fortunes, as he played a beautiful ball from the back that Gabriel Jesus collected well and finished past Loris. Kompany has been involved in 2 goals in his last 2 matches. Well, that was Gabriel Jesus' 10th Premier League goal this season and his 3rd in his last 5 matches. 3 minutes later, Loris made a mess of tackling Sterling. I said Loris right that time, which led to Gundogan scoring from the spot. 2 goals in 2 Premier League matches for him. But Spurs weren't about to lay down and let City have their way with them just yet, as Christian Eriksen finished off a beautiful Spurs passing play, his 10th on the season as he has scored in 3 matches consecutively. We'll see if Kane can claim that one. As much as Raheem Sterling tried to keep the score at just 2-1 with his signature move of blowing great opportunities, he accidentally finished off a play with a goal in the 71st minute, his 22nd across all competitions, which is more than twice as many as he scored in any other season, and which ultimately finished off Spurs and potentially the title race. But they hadn't secured it just yet, as that was dependent on a United result. A United fail would secure the title without City even having to be on the pitch, while a win would prolong the crowning of the champions for another weekend as stated earlier. But before United would play, we'll get to that later, Chelsea would jump on the come back from 2 down trend train as they went away to Southampton and found themselves trailing 2-0 at St. Mary's. Chelsea had won only 1 other match while trailing at halftime since Antonio Conte took over in 2016, and after the half, the hurting continued as they leaked a 2nd in the 60th minute. And then Conte took off the we'll call it somewhat slumping, Alvaro Morata, who was unable to find just his 12th Premier League goal, and brought on the model, moonlighting as a football player, Olivier Giroud, aka Plan B Big G. And his presence was felt 10 minutes later as he headed home a lofted Marcos Alonso ball. That sounds strange, but Chelsea continued the barrage, and 5 minutes later, Eden Hazard collected Willian's cross and slammed it in for 2-0. 3 minutes after that, Olivier Giroud hit a failed clearance into the bottom corner to complete an 8-minute full comeback from Chelsea. The first time they have come back from 2 goals down since 2002. 2 goals down to win the match. Way to give the Chelsea fans something to smile about these days. I'm happy for them. And I realize that does sound like pity happiness, but I'm being genuine. Liverpool ran out with a routine 3-0 win over Bournemouth, which saw Los Tres Muertes score a goal each, with Salah getting his 30th of the season, reinstating that 5-goal lead he had over Kane before Claimgate 2018. Salah has scored in each of his last 6 matches with 9 goals in that time span. Also, the record for the most goals in a single Premier League season is 31, and with the form that Mo is in, with 4 matches remaining, you'd expect him to be at least on par with that record. I'm sure he's going to break it. I've probably jinxed him now. I'm sorry, Mohamed Salah. Remember when I said, hey, things are looking alright at Arsenal these days. Maybe they can at least finish strongly. Well, they went away to Newcastle and fell victim to Rafa Benitez's side, 2-1. That means Arsenal are still the only team in the Prem that hasn't secured 1 point away in 2018. Not a single point. But credit to Newcastle, who now sit in 10th place, having won 4 in a row now. Solid. Arsenal have now lost 11 matches this season, which equals the most they have lost in a single season with Arsene Wenger in charge. And they still have a few more matches to go. Also, they have conceded 45 already, which is more than last season, and are equal points from the bottom of the table, 33, than they are from the top. That, my friends, is absolutely pathetic. There's no other word for it. Know what else is pathetic? United's 1-0 home loss to West Brom, but I mean, you knew this was coming. You could just tell this would happen after the dizzying heights of the Manchester derby. Blame Jose, blame the players, blame the kit man, blame the Glazers, that rhymed. It doesn't matter who you blame, that isn't good enough for United as a club. That isn't good enough for Mourinho as a manager. That isn't good enough for any of the players on that team, as they lost to the bottom of the table West Brom, who have changed managers twice this season and have scored a league lowest 9 goals while playing away. It's truly inexcusable. And it's also the first time that Mourinho has failed to win a title in his 2nd season with the club. Just a little added spice on there with the crowning of Manchester City. Speaking of which, with Manchester United losing, City sealed their 3rd Premier League title with 5 matches remaining. Pep Guardiola becomes the first manager from Spain. I forgot to say the first Premier League manager from Spain to win a Premier League title. As you all know that he's not the first Premier League manager to win a title. Anyways, yeah. First manager from Spain to win a Premier League title, which was his 7th title in 9 seasons of management. And winning the title with 5 matches remaining equals the English record, with United and Everton also winning titles with 5 matches to go. Guardiola now equals Mourinho's record of winning titles in 3 different countries, as he is just 1 country behind Carlo Ancelotti. Where next, I wonder? Italy, perhaps? France, maybe grab a quick title with PSG? Speaking of which, one of the teams that Ancelotti managed to a league title, PSG, as I said, wrapped up another league title this weekend, the 7th in their history, with a 7-1 drubbing of AS Monaco. 7-1. Pitiful stuff from the defending champions, and what a way to change hands of the title holders, but to have PSG rip it from Monaco with a 7-1 scoreline. And this season's run saw them crowned after 33 matches. In the 2015-16 season, they did it after 30. Edinson Cavani scored once, equaling Zlatan's PSG record of 113 Ligue 1 goals. Monaco's Ronny Lopes scored his 9th in 10 matches, and Radamel Falcao managed to score, well, on his own goal. So, congratulations to PSG, their 5th title in the last 6 seasons. But as we've said time and time again, that won't be enough for Unai Emery to secure his job, even if they do go on to win a domestic treble, which is looking very likely. The investment being made into the Paris club are with the intention of winning the Champions League, not just making it into the knockout rounds of said competition. Elsewhere in France, Lyon had an easy 3-0 win at home against Amiens. Mariano scored the first with an assist from Depay, then Depay went from servant to scorer to make it 2-0. At that point, he had been involved in every single one of Lyon's latest 9 goals, with 4 goals himself and 5 assists. In total though, he scored 5 and assisted 5 in his last 5 matches. Incredible. And Bertrand Traoré rounded out the scoring with his 14th of the season across all competitions. Marseille built off of the massive midweek Europa League win with a 3-2 victory away to Troyes. Lille, on the other hand, looked to be making their way out of the relegation zone with a 2-0 win over Guingamp, but leaked 2 goals in the 90th minute to only get 1 point on the day and climb only to 18th as opposed to 17th. In Germany, the title was of course wrapped up last weekend, but Bayern weren't ready to coast for the rest of the season as they hosted Borussia Mönchengladbach and beat up on them with a 5-1 scoreline. Sandro Wagner scored a brace, taking his tally to 7 for Bayern, adding to the 4 he scored for Hoffenheim earlier in the season. Thiago Alcantara grabbed 1, David Alaba made it 4-1, and Robert the Black-Eyed Pea made it 5 after coming on in the 70th minute. Werder Bremen got back on track as they attempted to climb the table while hosting RB Leipzig. This match ended 1-1, but Werder have really figured out their form, at least their home form. Since 35-year-old manager Florian Kohfeldt took up the managerial position, Bremen are unbeaten at home. That's stretching all the way back to November 19th, with 6 wins and 4 draws. Remember the crazy Revierderby from earlier in the season where Borussia Dortmund blew a 4-0 lead and Naldo headed home in the 93rd minute, 90th minute somewhere to equalize for Schalke? Well, in this version of the Revierderby, Naldo was up to his old tricks again, but this time it was just the icing on the cake. Before that, Schalke went ahead in the 50th minute when Yevhen Konoplyanka was left wide open and finished coolly past a stranded Roman Berkey. Then, half an hour later, Naldo smashed a free kick from 30 yards that curled around the Dortmund wall and past Berkey. Oh, he never had a chance with that one. That was his 6th goal against Dortmund. He certainly loves playing against them. Unfortunately for Dortmund, not only did they lose, but they lost Michy Batshuayi to an injury in the second half stoppage time, which is super unlucky for him. It's looking like he may be out for the remainder of the season and possibly for the World Cup as well, so get well soon, Bats. Okay, let's glaze over Italy real quick, not because we don't care for it, because we do care for Italy, but 6 out of the 10 matches this weekend ended in draws, with 4 of them being scoreless draws. A real snooze fest this weekend. And this is on a weekend where Milan was hosting Napoli and Lazio hosted Roma in the Derby della Capitale, and yes, both matches ended 0-0. Credit to Sassuolo and Benevento though, as they at least had a scored draw of 2-2. Also, Benevento striker Cech Diabite, who is having an incredible start for Benevento, the team doomed to the Serie B. Diabite scored a beautiful chip in the first half, then stretched to guide home an equalizer in the 72nd minute. He scored 7 goals in 6 appearances for Benevento. He's also the first player since 2001 to score 2 or more goals in 3 consecutive Serie A matches. Juventus won 3-0 at home to Sampdoria, and with Napoli only managing a draw against Milan, they extended their lead to 6 points. There's 6 matches remaining in the Serie A, and Juve still have to play Roma and Inter in there. Not to mention the massive matchup that will be Juventus hosting Napoli on April 22nd, so circle that one off on your calendars. Circle it up, circle it off, however you circle it. In La Liga, let's start with FC Barcelona welcoming Valencia to the Camp Nou. By the way, if you thought the Camp Nou wasn't intimidating enough for opposing teams, they just got the go-ahead to increase capacity to 105,000. That's an additional 6,000-ish fans. I mean, 6,000 seats is a bit of a drop in the water in comparison to the 99,000 that were there already, but hey. Anyways, sorry, completely sidetracked there. Coutinho did well to pull the strings in the Barcelona midfield as he set up Luis Suarez in the 15th minute with a perfectly weighted through ball. That was Suarez's 23rd of the season and his 10th against Valencia in total. He scored against them more than any other La Liga opposition. In the 51st minute, Coutinho found the head of Samuel Umtiti from a corner kick, making it 2-0. Coutinho's 5th assist in just 12 matches. Valencia were awarded a penalty in the 86th minute, which Dani Parejo converted to make for an interesting final few minutes. However, Barcelona were able to hold on for a historic win, as that made for 39 matches unbeaten in La Liga, beating Real Sociedad's record of 38 matches unbeaten. Barca have a chance to extend the run even further as they take on Celta Vigo and Deportivo La Coruña before El Clasico on May 6th. Speaking of which, Real Madrid were without both Bale and Cristiano Ronaldo as they went away to the basement-dwelling Malaga. Malaga have a pitiful 17 points from 32 matches this season, and it was their former golden boy Isco who put Real ahead after half an hour with a beautiful curling free kick. Then, in the second half, he played a beautiful squared ball to Casemiro to make it 2-0, and it stayed like that until the 92nd minute when a mistake from Vallejo allowed Diego Roland to score a consolation goal for Malaga. By the way, Karim Benzema, who did play in this match, has only scored 5 goals this season, which is now on par with Diego Roland. That's pretty sad, man. It really illustrates how far he's fallen. Incapable of scoring more than 5 goals from 26 appearances in the league with all of that quality around you? Really? That was the 100th win for Zinedine Zidane since he took over for Madrid in February of 2016. It took him 140 matches to reach this milestone, with only Mourinho taking less in Madrid's history, as he did it in 133. However, Zidane still holds a 71.4% win percentage across all competitions for Real Madrid. Not bad at all. Atletico Madrid didn't do too badly this weekend either, as they got a 3-0 win? What? Not a 1-0 win? Incredible. Antoine Griezmann scored another, his 14th in just the second half of the season, 5 behind Cristiano Ronaldo in the second half of the season scoring race in La Liga. Also, a congratulations to Fernando Torres, who scored to make it 3-0, as that was his 100th La Liga goal. Excited to see you do it in the MLS next. By the way, I actually have no insider information. I don't know if he is coming to the MLS or not. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching as well. That's it for me in this particular video. If you want more Rabona TV, then I'll have the MLS show coming at you later today. But other than that, drop a like if you learned something new today, and have a good one.